Hello, so this is a short video to explain your next task for your project My Surroundings.
So we're going to carry on with the project My Surroundings, and we're going to focus very much over the next few pages in your sketchbook on exploring and experimenting with a range of different materials and mediums that you can find from your surroundings. You may think that as we're in lockdown you are restricted with the materials that you have at home, but there are so many things that you can create art with. A great example of this, of course, is the tea bag, which gives you a great canvas for doing miniature paintings or collage work. Simply dry out the tea bags until they're bone dry, carefully remove the tea leaves and iron the tea bags to give you a nice flat surface to work on. Then, using some inspiration from your surroundings, you can create some small studies. Watercolour works really well on the tea bag paper. Watered down acrylic would be fine. You might even want to stitch into the tea bag. There's lots of different styles of tea bags, and you could let your artwork flow from one tea bag to another. Fine liner works really well. Be careful not to tear the paper, and soft pastel over the top if you have them to hand. Coffee is a great substitute for paint, and it gives a really nice sort of vintage age look to your work. Why not use a coffee wash and use this as a basis for more mixed media work? One of my favourite things to do is the potato stamping. So if you cut a potato in half and carefully carve out a pattern, you can then use paint to stamp the impression onto a surface. Here I'm using the coffee background wash that I did earlier. This is a great technique for repeat patterns. Another great technique for limited resources is taking rubbings off of different surface areas. This can give you a great bank of different textures to use in your artwork. After taking a rubbing of this fern, I then sponged the fern with some paint and took a print from the plant. I have a stone laid in my garden with some letters carved into it. This makes a great impression for taking rubbings. I'm sure you've all done bubble printing before. You get some diluted paint, blow with a straw, and then you take a print from the bubbles on the top of the jar. If you don't have paint, why don't you try something like food colouring? This can be really messy, so make sure your area is protected really well, maybe with some newspaper. You could use the results in some collage work or just use it as a background for a drawing. For the sgraffito technique, you need a heavy body paint like acrylic. You paint one layer, let it dry, paint a second layer, then using the end of a pencil or a sharp object, draw back to the first layer. Okay, so I've given you just some ideas of the things that you could do with some of the materials that you have in your immediate surroundings.
Hello. So what I'd like you to do over the next couple of weeks is look around your environment at home and collect as many different items and objects and materials that you think would make some interesting art. Okay, I've shown you lots of different processes and techniques in this video. You could use some of those. You can mix things together. You can stitch into things, you can blend things, you can scratch into things. But what I want you to do is explore and experiment and collect lots of small samples that you can put into your sketchbook to document everything that you've done. And remember to annotate around your experiments to show your understanding of how you achieved that effect. Okay, so have lots of fun. This is to satisfy assessment objective number 2, which is all about experimenting with different materials. The theme is my surroundings, so you're using your surroundings to create the art, so that fits in really nicely. You might even want to use some of these experiments to work into some of the ideas that you've already come up with regarding this theme as well. So have lots of fun. If I can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always here waiting to hear from you. Speak to you soon. Bye.